Hi folks, so sorry there hasn't been a lot of activity posting up lately. I've been crooked for a couple of weeks and work has just been chaotically busy. So we're going to get a little bit more done on the XW Wagon, this weekend. So I'll get this camera turned around and I'll show you where we're at. So we were doing the tailgate repairs on it when the glass fell out of the runners. So we decided we were going to fix all the paint and the clear coat that was all wrinkling up on the back of the tailgate. I'll flip the camera around and we'll have a look. So the tailgate has been primed and longboarded. We've filled any little highs and lows, and knocked down the highs and given it another coat of high fill. That's going to get blocked back over the weekend and into colour and clear. The tail lights while they were out were starting to look a little bit daggy, so we gave them a bit of a rub with some Scotch-Brite and some etch prime, and now they're going in a Ford dark argent grey. And it's a base coat, so we'll give it a bit of a coat of clear when it's all done. So the tail lights aren't perfect, a few little bits and pits and stuff like that in the bright work, but they'll come up okay. And then over here, we're going to run the blackouts across the tailgate, and it's not really showing up because it's the base coat that's on there now and it's getting ready to dry. But so that's a colour called Ford Black Sapphire. It's off the early 2004-5 Focus, I think it was. So once the clear goes on that, hopefully it'll bring a bit more of the sapphire pearl out in it. And that's going to go across the tailgate too, once we've got it all masked up and done. So I'll get a few more coats of dark argent onto here, and then we'll get them cleared for the night and come back again tomorrow and get into the tailgate. So that's 2 coats clear over the base coat. And we've got 2 coats of clear on argent grey. One more, and it's ready to set for the night. Okay, so it's Saturday morning. We're going to get in and get this tailgate blocked back so we can get some colour on it. The taillight surrounds and the blackouts on the body are done. For the age of the taillights and what the condition they were in, they've come up okay compared to what they started as. So now we just need to try and find some lens dye to re-dye the orange indicators because they're washed out badly, and that should give it a fairly fresh look on the back and tidy. All right, we'll get into this tailgate and go from there. So we've got the tailgate all rubbed back. There's a few rub throughs here and there, so we're going to go put a light coat of sealer over the top, let that flash off, and then we're going to get into the colour. So we'll get this mixed up and get the paint on. So that's our final coat of sealer on. No more rub throughs anywhere. We'll get the gun all washed out, cleaned up, ready to go for the first coat of colour. But we'll probably let that sit for a half hour or so to let all the thinners leach out of it. So here we go. Good morning. Well, it's Sunday. We've let the paint on the sealer on the tailgate dry. So we've given that a final rub back before we're ready to go. and that's all keyed up and ready to go. So we've wiped it down. We've got the first batch of colour mixed up, and we'll get some colour on there and some clear and see how it goes. Okay, we'll get you in over here now. That's 2 coats of base coat. First one, either the way I do it or I'm probably doing it wrong, but they'd always go on blotchy with a metallic. And I try to do a really light dust coat to then let it flash off so that the paint's got something to stick to as you build up the layers, and you try not to get any sags or runs. So at the moment it's not looking too bad. I probably could have given it a bit more of a sand or even wet rubbed the primer before we got into this stage. I just don't like wet rubbing when there's no clear on a car or colour. I don't know, it's just me. So we'll see how it goes with a couple more coats. We may end up using this coat of base coat as like a coat to give a rub back with wet and dry, and then put another few more layers on and then go into clear. But for now, we'll let that second coat flash off and we'll go again. Rightio, so we're a few coats in now. Try to go nice and light on the coat so we don't get blotchiness or build up or any runs. Now, I don't know whether it's a throwback to when I started using acrylics and stuff like that, where when you did a pearl or a metallic, you would do a fairly light fog coat and you'd do crisscrossing overlapping coats to try and make the metallic and the flex stand up. Don't know whether it's warranted in this kind of paint. I'm still learning a lot. So we've done that. Now put a couple more coats on in the direction of the flow that we're going to go. And I may do a light mist over the areas over the areas that are going to be shown without the black when it's finished, just to see if that makes any difference. But for the moment, that's laying down not too bad. A couple of blemishes in the paint, but hey, it's good enough for who it's for. Let's get back into it. Okay, so we've given it 2 hours for the paint to flash off. Now, what we're doing is we've taken the measurements off the back of the taillight panel on the car, and we've referenced that here from the body lines down and the body line up. And we've put our indicator tapes on there, and we've just laid a bit of fine line masking tape across there. So we just want to make sure we don't pull the fine line too tight, because it will stretch and then give you a wavy line. I'll get that bottom one in and then we're ready to mask up and go from there. So the black we're going to be using is what was left over from painting the car about 12, 13 years ago when we did the blackouts on it then. Probably really doesn't show up in the camera, but that's a Ford Sapphire Black off an early 2000s, mid 2000 Ford Focus. Really subtle metallic. Yeah, see how it goes when we put it on. Okay, so we're going to dust on a light coat of this first, let it tack off, and then we'll go through it. Give that 10 to flash off, and then we'll come back and start putting the coats on. So we've had about 10 minutes of flash off time on that first dust coat. Now, just remember who this is for and don't look too close because it ain't that great. But considering why we did the car, or the tailgate, sorry, is because the clear was falling off of it. I don't know what the panel shop did before when they did it for me, but the clear literally ran off the car and turned milky white when it was parked in the rain at Cooley Rocks on one year. So, but only on the tailgate because that's the only part they repaired for me. So even though this is not great, it's going to look 100 times better than it was before. So we've let that flash for 10 and it's gone nice and dull and flat. So my biggest problem is I always rush the recoats, and then you end up with sags and hangs, and if it's a pearl or a metallic, you get gathering of the colour and it just looks terrible, worse than this. So yeah, we'll pop it back up on the top here and we'll get a few more coats blown on it and go from there. Just remember, give it its time to flash, don't rush it. So we've put that second build coat on diagonally opposite to the first coat. Again, I really don't know if you're supposed to do that with 2-pack metallics or not. That's what I've always done with acrylics. Excuse me. And I've always dusted them at a further distance from the surface to try and get the metallics to lay out. Seems to work, could be totally wrong, but we'll see what happens once we get the last couple of coats on and then some clear. So we've got half decent coverage with that. I reckon we'll put one more on after that. Then we'll let it tack off, clean the gun out, and wait to put our clear over. Okay, so it's ready to unwrap, and now you just got to remember that all the base coat is really, really fresh. So try to make sure you're not unwrapping it like a 4-year-old on Christmas morning. Go slow, and hopefully we don't lift any of our base coat off. Because the other way to do it is you would have sprayed your first colour and put down a clear base coat over the top of that to then give you something to mask up the second colour. A, I didn't have any. B, this is a daily driver and was never ever perfect in the first place, because it is just driven and parked out, and with the lack of respect people show for other people's property lately, you don't want anything too pretty, or you're constantly going to be losing your temper when you come out and find someone putting a handbag on the roof or leaning on it or doing something else that you probably wouldn't be doing to your own car or someone else's. We also should have used a sealer coat between the primer and the colour. Again, I didn't have any at the moment. I thought I'd be able to get away with thinning the primer down a little bit more than normal, but it shows the finish isn't quite as nice as if you had used a sealer. But again, it's better than what it was before. So we've unwrapped it. We're at our recoat window now, so we're going to mix some clear up and go to put that on. So now those two lines going down there, by my eye, are reasonably straight. We are going to try and find some chrome adhesive moulding, like a little quad or a half dome shape, to break that up between the transition from the brown to the black, or maybe a pinstripe tape, I'm not sure. The factory GT sedans had a stainless mould, which you can't get for the wagon tailgates, slightly different shape and width, but to get the look that we're going for, we'll try that. I do remember seeing some panel edge protection moulding you used to be able to buy in a roll. It was like rubberized material with a chrome coat over it. So if it doesn't look too tacky, we'll go that. If that looks a bit cheap and cheesy, we might just go some pinstripe tape. All right, let's get the clear mixed up and get this on and clean up and go home. Okay, so I've mixed the clear up, made a little bit of a mess, got that cleaned up. Now, let's get this mask on, and we'll get some coats of clear on so we can clean up and go home. Okay, so we've turned up the floor to tip the adjustment a little bit, and we're going to bring the pressure down a little, going to move a little bit faster, and hopefully no runs, because we've left it for a little bit longer of a flash off than what it recommended, because it was a bit cooler. So hopefully that'll stick and we're all good to go. Don't mind the random dog hair that must have blown off my shirt here. Thanks, Ben. So yeah, second coat. Nailed out nice. No heavy hangs or runs anywhere that I can see yet. Just got to remember, do not rush it and have patience. It's always been my downfall. But there we go. We'll keep going slowly, and hopefully it turns out half decent. Okay, so we're going to get this last coat of clear on now. all looking pretty good. Should rub back with a wet rub and then a buff pretty nice. The top edge up here, the gun did have a bit of a hissy fit and drop a couple of blobs in the clear. They might show up in the camera, I'm not sure, but I can see them, so not really the gun's fault. It's because I'm only painting one panel and I mixed up enough to do all the coats in one hit. It is probably starting to get to the end of its shelf life, or pot life, sorry, by the time we get the final coats on. So I've put a little bit more thinners in it just to break it up a little bit and get these on. If I had been painting more than one panel, it wouldn't have been an issue because the gun would have been getting all the paint through and then cleaned up in between. But for the car it's going on, I'm happy. So I'll get these last couple of bits of clear down, we'll clean up, and then I'll run you through it when it's all finished. Okay, so that's a wrap for tonight. That's been sitting for about an hour. And even if I must say so myself, I reckon it's a damn sight better than what it was to start with. So we will leave that for, excuse me, we will leave that for a few days through the week, left out in the sun. And then we'll give it a colour rub and buff and get it ready to put back on the car. So, no, it's not perfect, but you know what? No one's car needs to be perfect. If that's what you want, awesome. Costs a lot of money, a lot of time, but if you get the thing running and you get it done to the best of your own ability, you know what? Go out and enjoy it. Whether that be a car in primer, flat black, satin black, gloss, or just how it was with a bit of, what we say, satin clear over the top of the original paint, patina. If that's your thing, do it. Doesn't have to be right, just has to be running. Get it out, enjoy it, have fun. All right, so we're gonna leave it there for now. When we get to the colour sanding stage and the buffing stage, we'll get you back in on that. But for now, good night. Thanks for watching. See you next time.